So this response became my addiction as a kid. Like if I do something, people go crazy. Started with my mom. Next thing you know, my friends at school and everything else. I could draw. And the fact that I was also taking it seriously led my mother to put me into art programs that were very serious. One was the most important one, which happened when I was 10. She said, on Saturdays, you're going to be going to this art program at the Philadelphia College of Art. You guys, it was literally the Philadelphia College of Art. There was no allowance made for little kids to be there, and I was there. Like I was in a college on Saturdays with college students learning to paint and draw. Easels, smell of oil paint, linseed oil, got into my bloodstream, and something huge happened that year, my 10th year on Earth. I stopped speaking of myself as an ordinary kid. I began calling myself an artist. I began thinking of myself not in terms of what I wanted to be someday. I began to talk about myself in my current incarnation as a 10-year-old black kid in Philadelphia as this important artist. Like, no one argued with it, because I could draw the Flintstones. I could draw, Snoopy or whatever. So my friends were like, it makes sense to me. Look at that. That looks just like the thing in the newspaper, right? So as my mom's intensity increased and she started, you guys, without taking you down a terrible rabbit hole, a lot of what I'm saying is sort of happy and upbeat and glowing. Here's my mom's love, and it's being heaped upon me at the exclusion of my other siblings. And I got my friends around me, and it's continues. Kagan's just a guy who's a friend of mine now. Just like, dude, you could totally draw. Like by 1968, the entire world was on fire. You understand? Dr. King had gotten assassinated in 1968. My oldest brother was caught in the doors of a subway train in Philadelphia, torn into two pieces.
Yes.
He lived for 6 hours. They sewed him back together, but it was over. It was over when it happened. But he was a tough kid. My brother Billy. Don't ask. This guy was amazing. He was almost accustomed to this. This was his destiny to go out this way. Billy was one of these kids. You see this guy living his life, and you think to yourself, wow, he's not long for this world. I mean, that's what everybody who met him felt like. He was just risk-taking.
Like take chances.
Oh my God, come on, man. He couldn't go from point A to point B unless it was on a stolen bicycle. I mean, this guy, he's like, okay, I'm gonna grab that. Here we go. One day again, I was living in Philadelphia, This guy comes home on a horse. This gallop. I'm like, is that a horse? Shut up! Wow, I've never even seen a horse in person before. Okay, so he was just a wild boy, and always stunts and risks and the whole neighborhood. You got Billy's gonna be doing a stunt today. What was he, my brother, Evil Knievel? What was this guy? Billy's gonna be jumping off the roof, And then he would just jump off the roof. He would jump from one roof to another. In Philadelphia, one building's here, next building's right there. You could theoretically see how a 13-year-old might think this is a good idea, but still very few did it, you know what I mean? Billy was like, sounds great, big crowd, lived a short life. So, in 1968, Dr. King gets killed in April. Billy gets killed in July. Robert Kennedy gets killed in November. All in 1 year. I began, even as a little child, and I'm only 6 years old, and I'm seeing a pattern and a rhythm of death. Life and death. I'm seeing my life in Philadelphia, and I'm seeing that mixed in with it a tremendous amount of drama and death. And it's in my family. It's in everybody's eyes I meet. Don't forget, if you're black and it's 1968 and you're living in Philadelphia, every person you encounter considers the death of Dr. King to be come on, you know how it was. It's war. It's flat out war. It's just like, we have nothing to compare this to. It would be as if Barack Obama was giving a speech somewhere. Someone killed him. Like, we just caused this epidemic. It's time for us to, so we all, like everybody you met. I mean, some were very Dr. King-like, very nonviolent. And some were very Malcolm X-like. Like, there's a lot of people like, let's take up arms, let's just hit the street. But nobody was apathetic. Like, you never saw a person that was like, who, what? No, I'm busy over here. I got my device and I'm looking at this. There was no one like that. We were all just like in a feverish state of engagement into life. All the adults, guys, I'm not overstating this. All the adults I knew gathered at times together to commiserate. Constant Black Panther-ish meetings. Because I never really saw anybody with a gun or standing by the window. I never saw that. But there'd be lots of giant afros and lots of rooms and it was kind of like an Angela Davis, more like kind of like that, like an Angela, you know what Angela Davis is? Like all the women were like that. Just the big power, had the hair, is incredible, right? So what this was doing to me was changing me from a normal child into one of them. I became a little kid on some sort of a big mission, right? Everything was a big mission. Everything contained urgency. And we don't have any time to waste. This is out of control. This is crazy. We better do something. So I was like this, but I was a little boy. I was this big. And I was full of all this highly energized purpose for a child. Well, as a cartoonist, as an artist, this thing inside of me, it turned out to be very productive. I didn't have a childhood with wasted time in it. I didn't have any weird, wasteful, meaningless moments in my life. Every little thing I sat down to do, it was a big deal. I had to gather my family around, my siblings. I tried to get friends to witness it. I'm like, I'm about to draw you guys. Yeah. So even today, when I see less in the packed room, I'm thinking, Kagan, what went wrong?
I'm about to draw up here.
I'm about to draw. Like, this could go crazy. Are you kidding me? So by the time I was 17, I was a published cartoonist. You see the rhythm I'm laying out here. To achieve anything while you're still young. And nobody not being here and still being young. What's your name? No, in front of you, Jonathan, with the teddy bear. Is that a teddy bear or a rabbit? I mean, or deer? What is that? Oh, it's a bear. Okay. What's that bear's name? What kind of bear is that? It looks like it's part rat. Is that from a cartoon on TV or something?
What's the bear's name?
Honey.
Honey bear.
Okay, take it easy. And you're young. What's your name? Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah, I can still see you, even though we're up here. But Trinity, kids are shocked when you mention it. It's like, what? Who's this? What are you talking about? When you're young, your dreams can seem miles away. Miles and miles. You see a guy up here like me, you go, hey, that guy's lucky. Because he wanted to be a cartoonist, and now his comic strip is in the Boston Globe and all of that. Whether or not you know that to be true, that's true. It's not in just the Globe. I'm actually syndicated in more than 300 newspapers, including the LA Times, where I live now, and the Philadelphia Inquirer, where I grew up. It seems to be all over the place. And there's one more good thing about a tiny crowd like this. Crystal, just relax. My wife is over there. I can tell you a secret. Now, had this been a packed room, I would definitely get in trouble for telling you this. But thanks to the fact that almost no one is here to hear this, ironically,
Yeah, you don't have to.
Jumpstart is being developed into a sitcom on CBS. Thank you. But hold your applause until I'm actually on CBS. But I'm in development. I'm in development. I'm in pre-production with CBS. It's true. But Hollywood is so weird, you guys. Like, this happened before with me in 2015 with Fox. I was in the same position. Like, guess what? I'm gonna, things happen. Executives have their own agenda, and strange things can still happen. But nothing weird has happened yet, and it's very exciting. Now, I'm saying all that to point out to you, as young people, your dreams are not miles and miles away. They're upon you today. It's taking shape today. First of all, you're at this thing. Coloring. I never went to it. I never went to anything. I didn't, things are in existence today that were not even heard of when I was a kid, all right? You're exposed to things today. These things must change the trajectory of your life. Now, I'm going to speak in very simple, childlike terms. There's no time to mess around. And I know kids have a leisurely life, and it's not exactly a job to do, but school is a job. Like, there's no time for bad grades. There's no time for idiots in your class. You know who idiot. I don't call anybody names, but you know who I'm talking about. Don't act like you don't know who I'm talking about. You sit next to this guy, he's a complete idiot. You know what I mean? Come on. My mother was very aware of this. She said, son, you know that guy you hang around with all the time? Yeah. He's an idiot. My mom would call me. There was no hesitation. Yeah, I said, Mom, what are you getting at? I need you to stop hanging around with him. What are you doing? So what am I doing? I'm playing basketball with this guy. What do you mean? Yeah, stop it. Stop it. This kid's going to still be living in his mother's house in 30 or 40 years. Leave him alone. And I said, Mom, it's not fair. You don't really know this guy and blah, 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 blah. Well, one day she announced to me, son, I got good news for you. So my mom always had these pronouncements that, look, if I didn't change my own course in my life, she would change them for me. Okay? So she said, son, guess what? This is great news. I'm getting you out of public school. You're going to go to private school from now on. I said, I never heard these words come out of anyone's mouth. It was, the early 1970s. I said, I'm going to be in school by myself? Said, no, there's going to be kids around, but they're not like the ones that you're hanging around with right now. You got to put a stop to that. You're going to be around kids who are all going to college. I said, you know what, Mom? I don't really need that. I'm fine. I'm getting straight A's in my public school. Which, by the way, we could see from the house. I'm like, I'm going to school right there, and that's where I belong, and I'm getting straight A's, and everything's fine. She said, no. All you got to do is take a few tests, and then you'll be accepted to private school. Don't worry, you're a genius, okay? Yeah, I took these tests and found out I was not a genius, all right? Not even close to one. All rejected me. I said, Mom, see? That's it, it's over. I got rejected. I got rejected from Episcopal Academy. These are very prestigious schools near Philadelphia, right on the outskirts. Not in, out, right? Episcopal Academy, so get out of here. Waldron Academy for boys. You could live at Waldron if you were a boy. No, we're good. We don't need him. Haverford, same thing. You live at Haverford. Get out of here. No. I said, Mom, those are great schools. You should have seen these places. They're all this beautiful, the fields and the thing. They all said no. Okay, you happy? She said, no. Wait, you got one more test. And I tested to get into this Shipley School. This is a very prestigious school. You can Google the Shipley School right now. So I tested to get into the Shipley School, and to my shock, I got in there. Shipley was gorgeous. Shipley was 100% white. Of course. And all girls. What? No boys. I said, Mom, listen, there's clearly been some sort of a mistake. She said, no, they're going co-ed now, so. Okay, I said, okay, so they're going co-ed. You know there's no black kids allowed in there, right? He said, no. By the way, there's 3 seniors, there's 2 seniors and a junior. They're black. I said, Mom, you gotta go with me and sort of see what's happening. It's just not. They're just rich white girls. I need to be around my friends. She said, no, you don't.
Your mom didn't play.
No, you don't need to see them ever. You don't need to see them anymore. You don't need to see your own brothers and sisters anymore. Like, I'm not even kidding you guys. Like, you don't need to see anybody. You need to see those white girls out of Shipley. And I went out to Shipley, and I don't have time, because this whole thing is a short, limited time.
Lots of shenanigans at Shipley.
I don't know how many shenanigans taken. Like, oh, I get it, because he's just black dude, all those white girls. They must with. Oh, you the hair.
I thought that was the undertone of what you were saying.
No, these are very serious girls. I don't know what they were up to. I think they all had been at Shipley too long. They'd all been there since kindergarten and stuff. And like, I was sort of coming in as a 12-year-old, and I just wasn't ready academically for Shipley. So I spent 2 years in 7th grade. I'm still not proud of that. If you think I'm not proud of it now, you should have seen me in 1974 when this happened. I was just like, oh my, because in order for, like, the school I came from, in order to get left back, you understand? I mean, I knew kids that got left back. And they actually were real idiots. Like, my mom wasn't kidding. Like, to get left back in the public school, like, you had to not care about education at all. Because you could just not fight and get promoted. You know what I mean? So I was like, oh my God, I'm an idiot. Like, I can't believe I'm a stupid idiot. So I was really affected by that year getting kept back at Shipley. My mom just said, son, Robin, look, my name is Robin, not Rob. But I stopped using Robin for obvious reasons. People thought I was a girl, you know. I would get invited to, and I ended up in a girls' school, and I'm thinking, I sort of get what happened here. Like, everywhere I go, people think anyway. Look, my mom said, son, those girls are all from very, very rich family. Like, I sort of knew that they were, because their last names were on some of the products in my cupboard, like, you know, Pepper's Farm and all those, you know, you would see their names, like, on stuff. We used to get our oil from a tanker. A tanker would pull up to our house and put a hose in the window, and that's where all our oil came from, a Hess truck. A Hess truck would pull up, and the oil would come in there. Well, Liz Hess was in my class. I didn't put 2 and 2 together until my mom says, look, son, come on. You know who you're going to school with. I'm like, I think that girl's dad has a truck. Yeah, they're all going to go to college. I just want to make sure you go to college. That's all. You're never going to go to college messing around with Stevie and Kenny and all them. So forget them. So I did the 7th grade again. I sort of got the hang of it and stuff. But that pressure, that, I hate to call it pressure, that pushing from my mom, Enoch. This is your mom, right? Okay. Sometimes an aunt is taking you to one of these things. I met one woman, she was a grandmother, the same age as you. This is my grandson. I'm like, wait, what? Anyway, so sometimes that stuff your mom is saying to you. You guys, it's your big break. Obviously, I must have experienced a big break in order for me to be sitting here, in order for me to be in the Los Angeles Times, and the Boston Globe, and the Philadelphia Inquirer, blah, 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 blah. Where was your big break? I can't wait to hear this moment when somebody took you under their wing and you... No, guys, my big break was Dot Armstrong, my mother, pulling me out of what was comfortable and put me in something very uncomfortable. Taking me from a place, I knew everybody. I knew everybody and everybody's family. Like, I had 100 friends as a little kid. I went from having 100 friends to just feeling like I was a fish flopping around out of water. Like, part of that fish out of water thing led to my failure as a 7th grade student, first time around. I just didn't know anyone. I just didn't know what they were up to. No one ever taught me Latin or Spanish or French or anything. So it was just a lot all at once. But you guys, I got the hang of this, and I considered my biggest break to be following the lead of my mother. My mother was not full of fear and anxiety. And she was a leader in that civil rights moment I talked about, the Dr. King years, and Malcolm X years. So I grew up in a house where I would just hear the whole Dr. King album. Like, you guys don't know this, but like back in those days, you could buy an album, a record album, and it would just have Dr. King on it, talking. And you wake up in the morning, and you just hear a speech. And she didn't say, we're gonna have a speech. It was just in your house. You just wake up and you just get up for breakfast, like, and I think that everybody, I'm just like, wow, this guy's amazing. You know what I mean? And you would just hear like Malcolm X. Like, my mother did not discriminate. You hear Malcolm X on a Tuesday, Dr. King on a Wednesday. Like, we were just living in this different environment where we were pushed, and I was pushed by my mother. And I cannot overstate how grateful I am to have a single mother. When you hear some people talk about being, especially black men, talk about single motherhood, like, I've experienced this. I've heard black men who are ashamed of their being raised by just a single mother. Not embarrassed. That's different. Ashamed is what I'm talking about. Ashamed of it. What's the difference? Enoch, what do you think the difference is? I don't mean to pick on you. You're just right in front of me, dude.
The difference is basically being embarrassed is like
He did not expect school today. Enoch, because I can't believe it. I was off today.
I just wanted to watch a panel.
I came here to watch the panel. All right. In the interest of time, because I don't want to embarrass you either, okay? Because I mean, you're like, I wasn't ready for a speech. And here's the thing. If you're embarrassed about your mother, you don't want anybody to see her. You know, you're trying to hide her or something. Being ashamed of being raised by a single mother is just not being proud of it. You're just not proud of it. And when you hear about other people and their mother and father are still together, or one of your friends and you seem to have a parenthood that's still together, it can cause you to be a little heartbroken. You're like, you know. And I remember when I was at Shipley and I was in my third year. They had a father-son basketball tournament on Saturday, and like by then we had like 12 boys by then. It was great. I loved that. I had like 12 friends out there. I had another black friend, you know what I mean. But I was the only person I knew without a mother and a father. You know what I mean? I was still like that out there. It wasn't like that at home, but I was out there. So the father-son tournament was on a Saturday and was going to be a month away. And we always talked about it at basketball practice. Father-son tournament and blah, blah, blah. We just get build up. And the closer we got to it, the more ashamed I became, to the point where we got a week away and my coach, John Rainey, said something about the tournament. And I walked away and it was sitting in the corner and he was like, Armstrong, what's your problem? He said, what? I said, you know, it just all came pouring out. That's the shame. That's not embarrassment. I love my mom. I love having her. But the shame came out in tears, you know. And I said, I don't have a partner for the big game on Saturday. And John Rainey, a white man, said, I know. Robin, I'm going to be your partner that day. What are you so upset about? It was very moving. It was wonderful that he did that so immediately. And he was my partner. And we didn't win, but we had a great tournament on Saturday. It was wonderful. But my mother's single motherhood thing, this shame associated with it did end for me then. I stopped feeling anything other than, wow, like I've got a great mom. Like she's so great. Like she's the greatest person I've ever met. And like she's right. And I do belong out here and everything is fine. And that was very important because I didn't know it. At that point I was 13 or 14. I didn't know I'd only have 5 more years with her. By the time I turned 19, she was dead from cancer. you guys, your road to success, and I ain't talking to young people and excluding the rest of you, your road to success, I don't care how old you are, is going to have roadblocks in it that are terrible. Like, the things standing between you and making it are horrible. These things are determined to derail you. These things aren't playing around. These things between you and your dream are on fire. Like, they're explosive. You come into contact and be like, whoa, yeah, those are 10,000 volts, dude. Don't touch me. Like, these things are awful, right? Why? Why is it so bad? Why do they have to be so bad? Can't you be a little evil? That would be nice. No. We got to be real devastating because we don't want you to make it. We want you to throw the towel. We want you to give up. Quit. We're here for that. So that you won't try. Or the second you try, we want you to be discouraged and scared away. So you're thinking, why are these things even out here? Wait, are you telling me there are deliberate things sitting out here so that Donald Trump. I'm sorry if you're conservative and you voted for this guy. It's my bad. I'm just trying to be real with you. What do you think his purpose is? What do you think this man was put here to do? I don't think he's making any secret about it. He's pretty upfront with it. We don't need you. We want to take over and exclude you. This guy's unbelievable. He's the personification of what I'm talking about, and he ain't the only thing. There's lots of these little things in your life. Bad grades. The reason I talk about it, I had bad grades. And I started thinking I was going to quit, and I wasn't going to make it. You guys, if this thing can get inside of you and start telling you that you're not worthy, they succeed. Like bad grades, that's your mind. That's like, wow, I'm not smart enough. I'm stupid. Like when you're bad grade, like I'm telling you, I've accomplished some things in my life I'm very excited about. I've done some things I'm ashamed of. I've done some things that aren't so great. But overcoming this idea, feeling that I was stupid at a certain point in my life, and getting to where I am now, it's my greatest accomplishment. It's without any hesitation. I'm telling you right now. I went from telling people I was too stupid to do this thing to now believing the exact opposite. I was actually too smart to be at Shipley. Nice. Okay, I don't think that. That's not no, that's not actually true. But you see my point. Anyway, so I went from Shipley, where, by the way, I was able to do cartoons for the school newspaper the whole time. So I was really getting in the game, right? I was a teenager. I was like 16. And I was doing my thing, and then my work, I opened the school paper, and my cartoon was in there. It wasn't Jumpstart. It was some other thing. And other kids were like, oh my God, you're so funny. That's so cute. Oh my God, right? So I was like, wow, this is my claim to fame. When kids see this stuff, they go nuts. They go nuts like my mother goes nuts. People love me when I do that. Shipley had something called the mini-term. I'm going to make this part short because I'm running out of time. The mini-term allowed you not to go to school for 3 straight weeks. And you could pursue your passion during those 3 weeks. They stopped doing this for obvious reasons. Getting kids to devote themselves to something for 3 weeks with no schooling, and it had mixed results. But in my case, it was a godsend because I was able to pursue cartooning. And I told my the head of school, I said, look, I'm going to do cartoons for 3 weeks. I need tutelage. I need someone who can help me do it. And Shipley was such a good school, you guys, that this crazy conversation produced immediate results. I just walked in, I said, look, I need to find a cartoonist who I can be a protege of. They can be my mentor, and then I'll do a paper in 3 weeks, and that's what I need. And the head of the school said, I got just a person for you. And they called down to the lower school where I had done 2 years, and they said, yeah, isn't your daughter, blah, 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 yeah. You're going to be spending 3 weeks with Sidney Wilkinson, who's now famous. I mean, Jonathan was like, only part good. Like, yes! There's one guy. Right, thank you, Jonathan, because I said that for effect. Sidney Wilkinson? Yeah, no one knows what I'm talking about. Anyway, Sidney Wilkinson was in her 20s. She was a young woman just trying to make it in the newspaper comic strip business. And her mom happened to be head of lower school at Shipley. The weirdest coincidence ever. I don't believe in coincidences. The weirdest act of God, like ever. So Sidney took me on, and she just showed me how she hit the pavement and sold cartoons to the Daily News and the Inquirer, and sometimes she wouldn't, sometimes she would. But she showed me the process, and the process required a kind of a courage you don't see a lot. Just real courage, just like walking around with this stuff. Yeah, really? Okay, no? All right. Rob, we gotta get out of here. We go to the next play. She was hustling, and along the way I'd be drawing in her studio, and she'd take my stuff and go, yeah, can you redraw that? The way you draw feet. That's how you draw feet? Everybody's Bozo the Clown? Like, what is that? You draw real feet, just normal size feet. Come on, we gotta sell. She just shaped me up. I became like a pro like her. And at the end of my thing, I wrote my paper and I got an A, but I had 17 pieces of like really polished work for the first time in my life that looked like a grown-up had done it. And I took my little pieces and I walked into the Philadelphia Tribune, which is the oldest black-owned newspaper in the whole country. It's in Philadelphia. All this stuff was right near me, which is really great, okay? So I walked into the Tribune and said, hey, here you go. I'm here to see, I've got this guy's name. So I'm here to see the managing editor and the blah, 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 blah. And the lady said, do you have an appointment? I said, no, but trust me, he's going to want to take a look at my work. And she goes, okay.
Confidence again.
You do need confidence. It borders on cockiness. It borders on arrogance, or what kids call being conceited. But it's not that. It sounds like it sometimes. You just walk in, like, I want to see this guy. And then I'm 17. And she's like, okay. It's the confidence that makes that other person go, okay, sure. This guy is down here. And I go up, and he says, what is this? I said, look, it was the truth. The Tribune has no cartoons in it. He goes, yeah? We don't have any contributors like that. I said, well, you do now. When you see my work, you're going to go from being how you are now to being a real newspaper. This guy said, excuse me? We're doing quite well, thank you very much. I said, look, no offense, but you notice the Philadelphia Tribune it doesn't have any of the content that the Inquirer's got, or the Daily News has, the white newspapers. They are fully rounded expression of journalism for everybody, and the cartoons soften people up. They want to read these articles. Sometimes they're boring articles. Throw a cartoon in there. He said, all right, kid, look, let me see your stuff. Because you talk a big game. That's okay. There you go. You guys, verbatim, true story. Now, some of this is swagger. Some of this is bravado. Some of this is knowing what you're talking about, not being ashamed of stuff. But some of it is sweat. Sidney Wilkinson beat the crap out of me creatively and artistically and conceptually. I had no junk in my portfolio by the time I left her under her tutelage. I had a really polished looking stuff. And the guy goes, when can we start running these? I said, Monday. He said, how about if I give you $75 for each one every time we run one of these? I said, that's great. I went outside to catch the bus. I had no car. I went outside to catch the bus. I'm like, I answered way too quick. Right. I bet I could have gotten that guy. But when you're 17 and somebody's giving you $75 for every one of 17 comic strips.
In what year was that?
In 1981.
Okay, that's a lot of money.
It's a lot of dough. I didn't have any complaints then. Telling the story now, however, not a good look, okay? So, at the age of 17, something dramatic happened. I went from being an amateur to being a pro. Enoch, I'm going to ask you one more question. What's the difference between an amateur and a pro? Quickly this time, all right? The pro's getting paid. Okay? There's going to be a test later, so pay attention. The pro's getting money. Everybody's outside doing like this. LeBron James is doing the same thing for money. It ain't his uniform that makes him a pro. It ain't TV that's making him a pro. It's money. Someone is paying me to draw cartoons, and I'm only 17 years old. I go to the pros. Wow. Okay? Now, once you've been to the pros, have you ever noticed something? It's hard to get a pro to play amateur ball ever again. Hard to get LeBron James to play ball for free. Hard. Right? I'm not saying it's impossible. Some charity event, I bet he goes, whew. Okay, I'm done. So I became a professional at 17, and my mother was alive to see that, but 2 years later, cancer took her life. But she did see me sell to the Tribune when I was 17. When I was at Shipley, I was preparing to go away to school, and I got into Syracuse. And so when she passed away, I was technically in college, but I was in college completely broke, like completely. That was my only parent. It wasn't like my father reemerged and was like, "You all right?" Like there was nothing. And I'm away at Syracuse. And I got siblings, though. I'm the youngest of 5 kids. But I lost my brother Billy, so now there's 4 of us. But my siblings weren't really able to do anything. Like they just were like, just reeling. The loss of my mom was real terrible. Like it just was awful, awful, awful. One of my sisters sunk into drug abuse and stuff. My mom was a real rock in our lives, and once she was gone, it was kind of crazy. So, strangers. I'm running out of time.
I'm just making sure. Keep going.
Yeah,
I would like to hear the Charles, how your connection with Charles Schultz in some way. So weave that in there.
I'm going to wait. Do me a favor. Hurry it up.
No, it's great.
So, I didn't really have any family members, really. I was in this weird moment where a lot of what mom had put together was about to crumble. You know, you follow what I'm saying. I'm away at Syracuse. They wanted $40,000 a year to go there. And I was a 19-year-old kid with no parents. Like, I'm just like, oh my God. And 2 white families. One at the Shipley School. My mom had worked her way onto the Board of Trustees. I don't know how she did this, but she was the first, it's historical. She was the first black trustee at the Shipley School. So she was real tight with the head. The chairman of the trustee board turned out to be the heir to a department store fortune. Him and his wife, Barbara, Isaac and Barbara popped up in my life and was like, "We loved your mom." I was like, "Man, me too. Who are you?" You know, and they just said, "Look, stay in touch, and but we need you to do some things." And long story short, they just want to make sure I did the right stuff, and I applied for the right scholarships and all that kind of stuff. And then the Jewish family also popped up, and I noticed that mom had very important friendships because they came through, like they just came through. Yes.
And your mom's background, can you describe a little bit about who she was? And
You see, Kagan, I don't have time to do all this. I need like 4 of these panels strung together. She was, I've never been asked that. What's your name?
Linda Marr.
Linda Marr. I may be calling you on the phone just to follow up with that question. My mom was just this, wow. Dr. Armstrong was just a community activist. You know, she organized blocks. She organized, she's a block organizer. She had the same, by the way, she had the same background as Barack Obama. Barack Obama, before becoming a senator, just ran around and sort of organized blocks. Just, hey, we can get you to have the block captain and your secretary, and she did that. So I hope that answers your question. Her loss was tremendous. But these families, this rich white family that owned all these department stores, all on Eastern Seaboard, by the way. The Strawbridge and Clothier department store chain was owned by the Clothier family and the Strawbridge family. Both went to Shipley. And the Clothiers Said, I promise your mom I'll make sure you get through Syracuse. And they did. But their friendship and their love and everything wasn't 4 years long. It was 40 years long. The patriarch just died. He died in August. Just died. And it was a 40-year friendship. He became my best friend. Just the nicest, sweetest, and most angelic man. She thinks he's an angel. Cordy, we called him Cordy. Cordy was an angel. He was such an angel. Like, he was a man. You guys, he was a man. He was a human being who wasn't like other human beings. He didn't have racism in him. He just didn't have hatred in him. You know, his own daughter got murdered. The rich families aren't immune to suffering. His daughter married a rich jewelry family son. The Clothier family married into the Bailey, Banks, and Biddle jewelry fortune family. And Mark Biddle murdered Melinda Clothier in a fit of rage after a terrible divorce. And Cordy had to clean up his own daughter's remains. And went back and ended up raising, him and Barbara ended up raising what should have been their grandchildren, so they're raising them as their children. This was after we've been friends for years. That happened. I was 27 years into my friendship with them, when all of a sudden they're in this moment of need. So my point is this, you guys. These experiences, as dramatic as they all are, I don't want you to get the wrong idea that I think I've been living a special life. I've just been living life. Everyone's life. I almost picked on Enoch again. You're just sitting right in my line of fire. I almost picked on you again. I'm going to jump over here to him. You happy? I'm going to talk to this man. What's your name, sir?
Thomas.
Tom, I'm not saying this for effect. You are living the world's greatest story. It's the greatest story ever told. I don't even know you. I'm telling you right now. You're living the greatest story ever written by anybody, ever. It's realizing it. It's realizing it. It's having the courage to be this amazing story. So you're living, I'm telling you right now, you're living through it. I don't know what you think about it or not. It's a story of survival and resilience and ups and downs like no one else could even do it except for you. Like, literally, you're the only one that could have done it. God knows that. He's not going to heap Kagan's problems on anybody else in here. You would never handle it. Here's the guy that can deal with it, and here's the guy that got it, okay? That's it. But it's having the courage to be that story. The mouthpiece for that story. I'm the mouthpiece for my life story. I get it. No one's got to tell me, Rob, that's really something. I know. Right?
Let's, can we give
Schultz.
a couple of minutes for folks to ask a few questions?
Okay, and the Charles Schultz story.
And the Charles Schultz story.
Can we just do quick Charles Schultz?
Let's do Charles Schultz real quick.
Okay,
and then ask a few questions.
he makes a great point. Talk about an amazing part of my life story. So, I go through college, and these two families, love them, blah, blah, blah. I graduate. I had done a college comic strip called Hector my entire time at Syracuse. It got me through a lot of terrible times. And Hector became popular and super fun. Like, kids knew Hector before they knew me. Hector got famous, right? So Hector helped me get syndicated to land my first contract at 26. Also crazy young. This is less than 10 years after the Tribune. This is only 9 years later. I signed the contract of my life. I become a syndicated cartoonist. The syndicate that I signed with, United Feature Syndicate, happened to be the same syndicate with Peanuts, Snoopy and all that. And when I signed my deal, I told my editor, this woman named Sarah Gillespie, I said, Sarah, I'm a huge fan of Peanuts. She goes, yeah, everybody is. I said, look, I know. These other guys, forget about them. Look, I need to meet Charles Schultz, okay? She goes, oh, you need to meet Charles Schultz. Really? I said, yes. Yes. Did you see the stars have aligned? Like, when I was a little kid, I would sit there, I would draw the Snoopy and Peanuts, but she goes, yeah, the doghouse, and yeah, yes! She goes, yeah, no, I'm not, no. Everybody says that. I'm not doing it. I don't even see him that much, okay? No. But send him one of your cartoons, I promise you. I'll make sure he gets it. As a matter of fact, I'll give you his address. You can send it. And she does. and I send him. Oh my goodness. Years go by. When I say years, a year or two goes, like 2 years goes. Through some unrelated circumstances, I end up having a chance to visit Charles Schultz. And I walk in to visit Schultz, and it's spectacular. Like, it's Disneyland. This is where this guy works. And it's just huge atrium, and Snoopy is flying, and there's this mural, and there's an actual doghouse out front. There's all kinds of stuff. And he walks out, Robb Armstrong. I was like, yes. Oh, come on in. And you got to walk up like 3 steps to get into his office. You go up into the step, and you go in, and it's bare. Where he works is nothing. There's none of that stuff. It's a desk, drawing table, sofa, book. He loves to read. His bookcase, all full of books. And his walls are empty. He doesn't have stuff on his wall. There's one thing framed, hanging up on his wall. It's the cartoon I had sent him 2 years prior. So I walk in. Yeah, I had done this cartoon where I mentioned Snoopy in it, right? Marcy, my character, Marcy singing, hang on Snoopy, Snoopy hang on in the shower. Hang on Snoopy, and Joe comes in and says, you know that song is not saying hang on Snoopy, right? She goes, what? I can't hear you in the shower. He says, they're not saying hang on Snoopy, they're saying hang on Sloopy with an L. Sloopy. She goes, what? Trust me, look it up. It's Sloopy. Hang on Sloopy. And then he leaves the bathroom, and she sits there and goes, that's amazing. All these years I've been singing Hang On Snoopy. Wow. And she continues singing Hang On Snoopy without changing. So that was hanging up on his wall. So wow. He said, Rob, this is up there, and I just want you to know that your strip has great characters. And that's the whole thing. That's why that's up there. You can do this your entire life. Jumpstart has great character. He would go on to rename the little black character in Peanuts. His name is Franklin. Where one day he called me and said, I'm going to change his name to Franklin Armstrong after you. It was 1994. He said, would that be okay with you? Because I have this video coming out, and he has no last name, and it's kind of like not right or something. I go, no, I'm so honored, man. That's great. And he did. And a few years after that, I gave a speech at the museum. Long after he passed away in the year 2000, I went to speak at the museum long after he was gone, and I told the same story. I said, he named his kid Franklin after me, and his widow didn't know that. She said, I never knew that story. That's amazing. And then she told NPR, and the whole world sort of knew. And you guys, one more advantage of being in a small room without too many prying eyes and ears. Prying eyes and ears? Anyway, I can tell you one more secret. But I really do mean not to talk about this, because trust me, don't say anything. I just finished. What? You're giving me the... I shouldn't say anything?
Yeah, let's do your file. Yeah.
You already gave away one secret.
All right, that's it.
Don't get in the
You're
dark.
right. You're right. You'll see soon. You'll see. When it happens, you'll go.
And
Yes.
the Franklin Project, the Armstrong Project.
So I thought you said don't say nothing.
The Armstrong Project, not the...
Okay, so okay, that's a great idea. All right, so this is related and not related. I can announce this part's not a secret. So I am doing a thing with Hampton and Howard called the Armstrong Project. And Schultz family and Peanuts is going to provide an endowment of $200,000 to these 2 black colleges. So, thank you. Whew, I dodged the bullet there. Thanks, honey. And there's something else, but anyway, let's not talk about that. So, what do you want to do? Ask. She's
I think
leaving.
we
It's
have
too
time
late.
for like 1, maybe 2 questions. We are really at time, but if anybody has a pressing question they really would like to ask Mr. Armstrong here, now's the time.
Yes.
Okay, you get the question.
Okay, let's do it.
Frame this quickly. When we came in, okay, I was with somebody else, not to be confused with this, my wife sitting next to me. There's another person. I came in, we were talking, I was like, yo, Robb Armstrong was here, we'll look at this symposium before. And then we walk in, and in the corner, it's like, yo, I think that's Robb right there. That's the man. So, but the person I was with was like, Robb Armstrong. So I brought her over and I was like, I don't recognize his character. And no.
He knows
But-
he was in it.
He don't remember.
He
But
did.
anyway, so the reason I did that, and so I want you to set me straight on something, but
Yes.
I apologize to young people because I'm gonna frame a couple of names that they won't recognize, but, all right, Charlie Silver, right? First professional PGA golfer. Jackie Robinson, first professional black baseball player. Kind of when I think of you, black syndicated, cartoonist, like you are on that level, at least I think you are. Maybe there's some other guys, and you could set me straight, but that's the way I think of you. So is that correct in assessing you that way, in terms of when you came in,
Well,
what level you're at?
I mean, since you're the first person to ever say anything like that to me, I'm going to have to go. I'm going to have to agree 100% that, like, when you think of Jackie Robinson, from now on, all of you, this guy. I need you to think of me. I would be remiss if not mentioning Maury Turner, who actually preceded me into the business. Oh, thank you for coming. I appreciate it. Maury Turner did a comic called We Pals, and I met Maury in 1988, and Maury actually kicked open, literally and figuratively, kicked open the door for me because he knew someone at United Feature Syndicate, where I got offered my contract, and he told them, this kid is going to send you his stuff. You need to look at it, for real, because they had already rejected me. Oh, thanks for coming, man. I appreciate you. So they had rejected me, and then Maury told them, look, this kid's going to send you some stuff. I think he's the guy. And that led to my contract. So Maury not just paved the way, historically, he literally helped kick in the door for me. Friends with me his whole life. From that point forward, he died at the age of 90. But he was at the end of his career when I met him. When I got into the business, he was almost over. And three of us came in almost at the same time. Ray Billingsley, Stephen Bentley, and me.
What's Stephen Bentley?
Herb and Jamal.
Oh, yes.
So yes, there's definitely a pioneering aspect to my. But thank you for that. I appreciate it.
That was a very good question.
It's a very good question. Now,
Ted Shearer's up there too. Ted Shearer.
Ted Shearer, sure.
Ted Shearer, yeah.
Ted Shearer's up there.
Billy Joe Jive.
Yeah. Quincy. That's Ted Shearer, right? Quincy, yeah. Luther, a cartoon called Luther. Am I confusing two men? Now, just for context, those strips were, they really struggled. And so did We Pals. We Pals really, really struggled. It was Dr. King's assassination that helped We Pals catch on. Strips that followed him really didn't do well because Maury was incredible, and We Pals was on TV and stuff like that. So when those guys, Ted Shearer and those guys, because they were fighting against that, they weren't fighting against Maury, but the industry pits us against each other. Even when I came along in the 80s, if a paper had Jumpstart, or if a paper had Ray Billingsley's Curtis, they would just flat out say, no, we just got Curtis. Like, I'm like, what's that to do? And it wasn't me, it's the sales team going, we tried to get into the Houston Chronicle or whatever, but they got Curtis. I'm like, can you explain to me how having Curtis somehow, anyway, they were doing that a lot in the days of Ted Shearer, Luther, and all those early, anyway, so yes, thank you, that's another great question. Is there any more? I think we're completely.
I think we got to wrap it up. We are a little bit over, and the festival has come to a close. Thank you so much for Robb Armstrong.
Yes.
That was amazing. Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you all for coming out and enjoying the festival. And definitely follow us on comicsandcolor.org. More stuff coming at least next year.